Welcome to the Healthy Life podcast that doesn't hold back. We discuss all subjects from wellness, healthy eating, and fitness. Welcome to Healthy Life.
Hello everyone, we are back at the Login Lounge in Camberley, and today I have this wonderful gentleman here, Morgan Wells.
Hello.
Hi Morgan, thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
So Morgan Wells is a classic physique coach, and he's going to tell us about that. But first of all, can you tell us a bit about your background, what got you into fitness?
From a young age, I was always quite a physically fit person. Even when I was in school, I was very into sports. I guess I never really found my niche within sports, and I was never a big fan of ball sports. Obviously, in schools and things, they have the football teams, the basketball teams. I just never really got on.
They're standard ones, isn't there?
Yeah. So I actually got into boxing when I was about 15 years old. I then ended up joining the British Armed Forces at 16.
Wow.
The fitness, obviously, within the army is very vast and intense as it is.
Yeah.
Learning the discipline and learning how to push your body beyond normal limits is something that I found so intriguing for a long time. So, and then I
imagine that builds some healthy habits, like because you're doing it constantly.
Yeah, definitely. There is a saying within soldiers that they are the fittest, unfittest people that you'll ever meet, only because, not so much, I don't think so much nowadays, it's been a long time since I was in, but like going out drinking with your friends and smoking, it was like, but we could still do all of that and then go and run 10 miles, no problem. So it was a very weird dynamic.
I would be dying. Not do that.
Yeah, it was a very, very weird dynamic.
So what happened once you left the army?
Once I left the army, I went into private military contracting over in South Africa, and then also the close protection industry here in the UK. So working as a bodyguard, private protection for celebrities, high net worth individuals, and that's what I've done ever since. That's when I found my way into bodybuilding, was because I found that everything outside of my job didn't present as much of a challenge to me anymore. Yeah. So I was talking to somebody and they said, have you ever put any thought into bodybuilding? Because with your background, your discipline, the way you like to push limits, it's something that you could give a go. So I thought, all right, I'll give it a go. I like the gym. I wanted to get bigger and, do everything that blokes who go to the gym tend to want to do. So then, I threw myself into competing and did my first competition, trained for it over the lockdown of 2020 and did my first competition in that little break at the end of 2020 of the lockdown.
Well done, because I know during lockdown it started off with everyone being like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then it's hard, especially when the gyms weren't open and being able to go to places, and so well done for keeping that discipline going.
Thank you. Yeah, it was the worst little home setup I'd ever seen, but it was mine, and I just had to make do. Yeah, I had to make do.
And what was that for?
The competition?
Which one was it?
So that one was my first ever competition, which was a first timers competition in Birmingham, under the Federation of the Physical Culture Association. They run a first timers show. They run a few throughout the year, and it's for people who have never stepped on stage before. If it's your first time, you can compete and get a feel for it. If you win, then you can qualify for the regionals, the finals, and so on. So
did you enjoy it? It gave you the buzz?
Oh, I loved it, every second of it. Yeah, there was a few mistakes I made only because it was my first. So obviously, bodybuilders, you have to tan quite heavily before you go on stage.
The tango look.
Yeah. That was something that I didn't do so well. So I was very pale when I stepped on stage for the first time, and then I stepped into the wrong category as well. So I stepped into men's open bodybuilding, which, if you think of open bodybuilding now, you think of the guys who have to walk sideways through doors. That they are ginormous.
Oh, really? See, I have no idea. I'm glad you're explaining. Literally, no idea.
So the classic, and it's something that resonates with me and why I got into bodybuilding. When I was younger, my dad used to show me pumping iron with Arnold, and used to watch the old Terminator movies and Rocky Balboa and everything.
Massive inspiration.
Big inspirations from the glory days, as they're called. So when I found out about classic bodybuilding, they tend to be smaller than the open bodybuilders. However, there's still a lot of muscularity. There has to be proportion within the physique. and the way it's presented in terms of posing, that's when I kind of fell in love with the idea of the artistry behind presenting a physique.
Yeah.
So that's obviously led on to what I do now. So
have you done some more competition since? Are you're training for something now, aren't you?
I am, yes. I did. So back in 2021, I did the Arnold Classics UK, the first one that they ever hosted in the UK. That was the Arnold Sports Festival.
Did you tan up a bit more?
I did, yes. I made sure that I was as dark as I could get for that show. Just
I
to
bet
make
originally
up
you
for it.
thought, no, this is enough, and then you get up there and you're like, maybe it's not the first time.
Yeah, literally. It's especially getting spray tanned. I mean, as a guy who doesn't usually get spray tanned, it's a very odd experience. I think it's
amazing how it helps really show those muscles with the shadows and everything. It does really help.
It changes everything. Yeah, it's because you can see yourself the morning of and you think, okay, I'm ready to go on stage, but then the tan goes on and it's just amplified it. And it's like, oh wow. So yeah, that was a good. It was because it was an expo as well. It was quite interesting, given that it was the first Arnold Sports Festival in the UK, so it was huge. And my crowd, my first competition was they had to have 2 spectators per athlete because of the lockdown rules at the time. So there was only 6 of us on stage and 2 spectators per, or 1 or 2, give or take, per athlete. So it was a tiny crowd. I've then walked out onto the stage of the Arnolds and there was over 500 people watching me. It's a bit like, wow. And I don't shy away from standing in public and public speaking and this and the other, but it was just a bit of a shock because I was like, oh my God, wow, this is...
It felt great,
it felt amazing, yeah. It was an incredible feeling. And then later on, so I did 2 shows that year. There was the Arnold Sports Festival and the GBO European Championships that me and my girlfriend competed in together. She did the UKDFBA Camberley show the day before. Oh, sorry, not the day before. It was a couple of weeks before, about 3 weeks before that. And then we went on to do the GBO European Championships together.
It's great that you've got a partner where you're both... and I don't know if you necessarily train together, but still you've both got a lot of the same goals, so you can support each other. Yeah,
it's a weird dynamic. I mean, most couples, when it's like date nights and having like dinner together and things like that, we still do, but we have to cater for what we eat. So it's not a problem because we're so comfortable in doing it and we're so used to it, but also she's a vegan. So she's not only just a bodybuilder, she's a vegan bodybuilder. And obviously, given the quantities and the differences that we have to eat, there's just no way we'd be able to. I mean, obviously, when we're on our off of the competition season, we go out and we have meals together in restaurants and things like that. But when it comes to eating at home, it has to be what is on our plan.
Yeah.
So, but we're very comfortable with that, so it's okay.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So you're training for another competition now?
Yes, I've got my first. So I took a year off.
You both are?
Yes, we are. Yeah. We both are. Yeah. She's competing later in the year. So she's doing I think it's a 22-week prep. So a prep's what is the name of what is kind of the leading training and dieting into a competition.
It's a lot of dedication, isn't it?
It takes, it is a lot of.
That's nearly half a year. Nearly.
Yeah, you have to give a lot of time and a lot of patience to it, and a lot of people don't realise how hard it actually is, because they think, oh, you just lose a bit of weight, you show off your muscles. It's like, I mean, especially for myself, I've had 14 weeks to prepare for this competition that I've got in 5 weeks' time, which is in Aldershot. And it's the first time that I'm going back to the PCA, which was my first competition, since 2020. So it's we both took an entire year off last year to try and grow as much as we could, and really push the food and the muscle. And then it's just a case of stripping everything off now and seeing and showing what worked done for. Yeah. So.
Oh, brilliant. So tell us a bit more about is it Classic Physiques? And what you offer for people on that.
Yeah, sure. It's so I do coach other bodybuilders, so the open bodybuilders. Men's physique, I'm not very in tuned with. Men's physique is the ones with the board shorts, because that's very specific posing. It's not so much what Classic Physique offers. So Classic Physique, if you think back to like the sculptures in ancient Greece, and even the golden era of bodybuilding with Arnold and Frank Zane and all those really famous old school bodybuilders. They took so much pride in presenting their physique, and the pictures that you see of them, you just think, wow, like it's not just a guy standing there who's muscular, it's like he is presenting something that's like a portrait.
My husband followed the Arnold Program quite a few years ago when he trained to be a Kratos God of War for cosplay.
Oh yeah, oh brilliant.
And so it was hard graft.
Yeah, I know. I bet. Yeah, it's the Kratos he's a big character.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Classic Physique in terms of judging and what the judges are looking for, it's a well-tapered physique with a thin waist, broad shoulders, proportionate legs. So it's still very muscular
so quite specific
physique.
At the same time, though. I didn't realise that. No.
Yeah. They judge you on your balance, your symmetry, proportion, muscle development, and presentation. The presentation part is where I come in to any clients of mine, or even to myself, because I have to practice what I preach, right?
Yeah, no, of course.
So presenting, when there's certain ways to show your physique in certain poses, to what they want to see, and to how you can manipulate things like your waist. So if I'm standing on straight, you can see my waist obviously where it is, but there's ways in poses where I can tweak my waist to make it look even smaller than my shoulders or my legs.
Yeah.
So you use the manipulation and the kind of illusion that you're showing to the judges. So even though you may not look like that, when you're in that pose, you do.
Yeah.
And you could look better than the guy standing next to you because he's not doing the same thing.
Yes.
So.
And so it's a bit of we were saying, like, I know you deal with the males, but when we briefly talked before about men and women, that there is some choreographing behind what you're presenting to show everything off. Yes,
definitely. I think it comes down to the classes and what the different categories that they want to compete in. So for females, there's actually loads of female ones. My girlfriend, for example, she competes in the bikini class, which is a very kind of slimline physique, still muscular, but they have a set amount of poses that they can do. The figure classes, like when you spoke with Emily, so she's competing in a figure class, so I believe she has to do a routine, or she has some individual posing time. So it has to be choreographed. And
that posing that you mentioned earlier, because Emily, we did a podcast with last week, which will be going live soon. I straight away thought about her when you said about certain poses with the waist, because I've been watching the pictures she's been putting up and showing like a normal stance, and then when she's engaging and doing those poses, how much smaller her waist looks and things. I instantly thought of that.
It's the whole thing's an illusion, and but that's what creates it's what creates good posing, because you're creating that illusion to manipulate how you look, to make yourself look exactly like the judges want to see you.
Yeah.
So and then especially for classic, I was saying that in open bodybuilding and classic bodybuilding, you have 60 seconds of a routine to put together, which is to music of your choice. Some people will come out and they'll just flex in different positions, and it won't be as presentable. But if somebody comes out and they've choreographed a routine to the point where everything fits together really slowly, really nicely, presents all the strong points, because you don't want to show off any weak areas on your physique. You want to show everything at its strongest, and you have 60 seconds of alone time on the stage to do that. So you might as well make it something for them to enjoy.
I've got another PT friend that we had, Sonny. He did a lot of his around anime, some of his favourite anime poses and characters to show off those moves. So I guess you could get someone saying, I love this, what can we make work?
Do you have
someone come in with you and say, I love this song, I love this bit, help me, what can we put together for this?
Yeah, pretty much. So for example, a client that I had recently placed first in his last competition, and he went on to, before that he competed in an IFBB, which is the International Federation of Bodybuilding, so it's the big leagues.
Wow.
He competed in one of those shows and placed fourth out of a lineup of guys who...
That's amazing.
It was, if you saw the type of athlete he was up, and he's a great athlete himself, he deserved to be up there. But if you saw the other guys, you think like, wow, that's it's a big lineup to be in. But he placed fourth, and Like, he gave me the song, he gave me the ideas of what he wanted, and he said, look, I just want this to flow, I want us to work on this. So we did, and we spent a couple of months working on it. And yeah, then he ended up winning his last show, and he placed 4th in the IFBB show. So.
And it's great to have your support on that, because you know what you're talking about. You've been there, you've trained for it. And also some people, especially when they're busy with their general training and just working, it's nice to have someone go, look, can you just help me put this together, because I'm busy with so many other things right now.
Yeah.
You'll be that person to kind of go, yep, let's do this.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's when it comes down to life around, I mean, especially when you're on prep, like your calories are low because you're trying to cut off all the weight. You have to do hours of cardio a day. You still have to train and lift weights. You know, your energy is at an all-time low. And to be able to finish a weight session, to then, if you go and do cardio after, or if you still have to practice your posing, because it needs to be spotless on the day. There's not going to be anyone sitting there like, oh no, just move that. It's like, you have to know what you're doing. And to be able to have the energy to do that, especially if they want to put together a routine, unless they take the time out months before to design one, you are looking at a very limited space of time, and you can get up on stage and look really stupid because
you've done all that hard work, and for that 60 seconds, and you've just you don't.
So it's, as I said to you when I came in, it's the judges don't care how hard your prep was. They don't care how many hours of cardio did, how little food you were eating, how many years you've trained. They care about what they see in front of them, and that's going to make all the difference. Do
you find it hard? I find a lot of people who do bodybuilding, when it comes to when it comes to this stage, how do you get through the cardio? Because it's not normally the favourite thing to do, isn't it? You want to be lifting weights. Oh, cardio. Oh God, I've got to do this bit. Well, what keeps you going when you have those moments?
I think it's a case of shutting out emotions and just getting on with it. If you
good
want
soundtrack as well. That's
if you want something bad enough, you can get it. And it's the mindset that I'm taking towards this. So every morning I'll wake up at 5 o'clock. I normally do for work anyway, but I've taken that onto my days off, and because I work week on, week off. So my week's off, I'll be up at 5 o'clock. I'll get straight on the cardio, do an hour, see that through.
I saw the video this morning before you even came in. The cardio machine was going. I saw that before you came in.
This is the thing at the moment, is my energy in the mornings is at an all-time low, but in the afternoons it's at an all-time high. So I'm fluctuating with that. So when I put that story out yesterday, I was like, people give me stuff to talk about because it keeps me busy. I actually ended up just watching episodes of The Office on my TV whilst I did my cardio, because I just didn't have the energy to get on Instagram. And you see in those videos, my face as well, my hair's a mess, and I'm just, not in the mood.
I've done that in those cardio moments. Repeats of Friends is my thing.
Rewatching show or series helps.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Jack, is there anything you want to say? We've covered it all, I think. He's like, nope, we're all good.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you. We'll definitely, we're going to hopefully sort out a video at some point with you and Emily. Emily, telling you now. No, I have told you before already. We've had this chat. But yeah, thank you for coming.
No problem. No, thank you very much for having me.
Hi, I'm Alex from SMJ Media Group, and I just want to say a big thank you to all our supporters that have bought us a coffee. Thank you to all the support that you've given us thus far. We've now introduced new membership options on our Buy Us a Coffee website. Being a member allows you to support us monthly, and it allows you to also publish on our many social media pages. Check out buymeacoffee.com/SMJ Media Group. We blog regularly, so you can check out what we're up to. That's buymeacoffee.com/SMJ Media Group.